Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today's lecture is about an overcomer. Her name was Hannah Elias. She was thrown in jail at only 19 years old for really a minor offense. To make matters worse, she was thrown out of her home for the same offense. She became a survivor, going from having to sell her body to survive to being one of the richest real estate owners and really richest black women in the nation. I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Lady Trinette Wilson, your lecturer and social historian. And today we're going to learn all about a woman who went from madam to millionaire. Now, let me just say, Hannah's story is full. It has it absolute all from an unaliving to intrigue, cheating, and riches beyond measure. How does these stories get hidden? I'm so glad you're watching Royal Black and Elite because you will get to hear all about it. Now, this sister was born into a family with 9 siblings. Her father's name was Charles Elias, and he owned this really lucrative catering business. And her mother's name was Mary. She was born in Philadelphia in 1865. She was born inside her house, so that's something. Now, her mother was very, very fair skinned, so she was often mistaken as a white woman. And her father was mixed with Indian, so she came from a mixed race family. So you can imagine the family was probably firmly ensconced in the black upper class, and they were mortified when Hannah stole, she said borrowed, a dress from her employer to attend her sister's wedding. And here's an example of maybe what dresses looked back then. Her sister name was Hattie. Well, she did not ask for this dress. And do you know they arrested her? The employer pressed charges on her. They put her in a place called the Mayo Mincing Prison. Now, instead of helping their daughter and understanding her position and she had made a mistake, her mom and dad, again, who were very upper class, probably half the time passing, said, "Get out. You're not welcome here in our home anymore." And they threw the girl out of their home. She didn't know anyone. She didn't have any money. And oddly enough, she was a twin, so we'll bring him up a little later, but she was on her own at this point. Now, you could only imagine just graduating from high school, having to do a bid in the clink. We don't know how long she was in jail and being thrown out. She had no friends, she had no support system. She couldn't have because what happens next is she becomes a woman of the night. She moves into this brothel with this lady named Miss Truitt, and this is where she does her trade. But while there, she meets this man named John R. Platt. Now, he is one of these wealthy white men who owns a glass factory, and he takes a liking to her, but not till a little later. In the meantime, her brother, his name was David. This is the twin I mentioned earlier. And then later, her husband, Frank Sutterfield, convinced her, hey, you know what? Let's go back to Philadelphia. Remember, she was in Manhattan at this time. Let's go back to Philadelphia and we can apply this same business there. We can get us a boarding house there and do what we need to do. Now, this is the brother and the husband. Needless to say, she divorced him. But also, in 1885, she had a baby and she gave the baby up for adoption and she never saw the child again. So that was sad. So she went back to New York. She was tired of them. She had had a child and had to give it up. So she wanted to start over again. And that's what she did. She started afresh. She went back to New York, where the glass factory owner that she had met earlier, again, he liked her and he started really taking an interest in her. Now, later on, he says that he didn't know, that basically he didn't know she was black. So when she returned, she started making money right away. And it is said that her new suitor also bought her a 5-story, 22-bedroom mansion that she decorated, what they say, with about a $100,000 worth of furnishings. That'd be worth $3 million today. He even paid for her to get a divorce. She felt it was time to move on. Now, they were in this secret relationship, and she had long since stopped selling her body. She was buying up real estate. She had found her major donor. So it was terrible for her when once again her plan got ruined. Because listen, he was buying her cars, clothes, jewels, and she was making him happy as well. And so she was living what I like to call the first quiet luxury. Because remember, she out here passing. She passing for Cuban, she passing for anything but black. So what happens is she's living in this neighborhood, segregated, nothing but white people, and then her, and living near Central Park, and in this upper class bougie. She thought she was so good she couldn't even live in the black bougie neighborhood. She had to go over here to the white folk neighborhood. But again, she was dating this man and he thought she was white, so, or another color, so he says. Here she is living in this neighborhood, living in quiet luxury, and here come this dude. Now his name is Cornelius Williams. And in 1903, he was pretty much obsessed with Hannah. And he went out to the front of her house, mad, thinking that he had found the man, the white man she was dating, and he took him out. His name was Andrew H. Green, and he ended up being the city planner. Now, here he is, have taken this man's life right outside of her posh mansion. The neighborhood was mortified. Here we go with that word again. But more so even for her, because guess what? They found out that she was black. Because they like, why is this black man over here in this neighborhood powing the city manager? The story hit the presses. But the story wasn't quite that the man had been unalive, but that Mr. Platt had been in a relationship with a black woman. Well, the family was like, oh no, this is not going down. You have to go and say she stole that money from you. And after a lot of pressure, he finally did. He went and said she stole $658,000 from him. That would have been like almost $1 billion today. Well, well over $1 billion today. Do you know the police stormed her house and arrested her? She sat there very resolute. She said, I'll have my day in court. And have her day in court she did. They couldn't prove that he hadn't given her that money. Her friends had come and bailed her out on $30,000. She obviously invoked people to give stuff to her, and that was the case with him. He had given her pearls, jewels, cars, houses, minks. I mean, he had been very generous to her. So why, after giving her all this stuff, that he wouldn't give her the house or he wouldn't give her the money? He had given it to her, and she won the case. They were very upset. During the case, the reason we know she was the richest woman at the time is because she had money dispersed over 15 saving bank accounts. She also owned houses, and her furniture was worth over $150,000, plus she had jewels. In the end, her house was known by everyone. There was this touring company, it was a bus company, it was called Seeing New York. It had made her house one of the stops on the way throughout the city. And people were stopping and gawking at her and pointing at the house. So she got tired of that. Elias went on to buy several properties, but she moved to Harlem. She couldn't take it anymore. And in 1906, it was reported she had evicted several white residents from the houses that she had bought in the properties that she had bought in Harlem. Now, that is really rich, being that she had passed all that time, but we're not going to go there. Now, in an article, it said that she bought these apartment buildings for $250,000 and she rented them for close to nothing to black people. But in 1906, her lawyer, his name was Andrew F. Murray, said that wasn't true, that she rented to everybody. Of course, it was against the law to have that type of behavior. In 1915, she owned a lot of property and she also partnered with John E. Nell. He became a famous Harlem developer. What's so extraordinary about this story, and what also shows you that she had enough money to do whatever she wanted to, because around 1916 she disappeared. She moved to Europe with her butler, his name was Cato, and they never returned. And we never heard anything else about her. Where her money ended up, what happened to her properties, none of that. However, her story is fascinating. Can you believe all that happened? And this man then went and did that in front of her home, something else. I don't know why in the end, maybe she felt like I needed to connect with my black community because, the white community had so soundly rejected her. But why did it have to take that for you to connect with your community? She had been through so much already. And the parents who rejected her really kind of lived not in the black community. It wasn't the black people who did her that way. So, it was sad to see kind of how it all turned out because we don't know what happened. But what an interesting life. I mean, she was a boss. I can't hate on her. A madam, a boss, a millionaire, a property owner, and the richest black woman during her era. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me to listen to this wonderful lecture. I hope that you enjoyed it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and leave me a comment. Do you think she should have got the money? I do. And I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. You want to learn more about Black history? Definitely click on one of these videos. There's another great story to hear. Thanks for watching.